in Ohio country today.
In Ohio Country Today, brought to you in part by the following: Koenig Equipment, Allen Davis Insurance Agency, True Point Cooperative, the Ohio Soybean Council, the Ohio Corn Growers, Rural Community Insurance Services, and Poet Biorefining. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of In Ohio Country Today. Big Dan Wilson alongside of Allen Davis and a very special guest today talking politics.
That's right. Today, Congressman Jim Jordan will be with us talking about several things that are important to Ohio agriculture and Ohio's economy.
And Jim's many years in politics here in the state of Ohio, and of course, national scene as our congressman from the 4th District. He's been very good to our show and always responsive and very supportive of Ohio farmers.
That's right. Jim's background comes from a family farm, much like mine, and so, the ties are there and he gets it.
So we're very grateful to have him, and we'll have that story. Of course, Allen Davis will have more news and information. We'll have your Koenig Care Minute. All that and more this week in Ohio Country Today.
Big Oil presents Mr. Slick and Dummy.
Do you know what the RFS is, dummy? It's the Renewable Fuel Standard. It requires the oil companies to blend renewable fuels with their gasoline.
And that's real bad, right?
Yeah, the big oil, because it means we use less oil and more renewable, dummy.
Why doesn't Big Oil want you to know the RFS is good for America? You're no dummy. Don't let the oil industry treat you like one.
This is Ken Koenig from the Koenig Care Minute, reminding you that if you need parts, service, or product support, or that new equipment, don't hesitate to call us at any one of our locations or visit us on the website at koenigequipment.com.
Welcome back to In Ohio Country Today, and with me is Congressman Jim Jordan from Ohio's 4th District. Jim, thanks for being with us. You've been on our show many times and bring a different perspective to things that are going on and how they affect the folks here in the great state of Ohio.
Well, it's good to be with you, and we appreciate the what you do and taking the information, getting the information to folks in the ag community. We recognize what a important business and industry agriculture is to Ohio and frankly to our entire country. So it's good to be with you again.
Well, when we talk about agriculture, one of the top things that's been in the headlines is, the farm bill that we did get passed, and so I want to talk a little bit about that and your perspective on that. Coming as an ag producer and coming from farm country and doing that, and as well your farm background. It's just give us an update and your thoughts on that.
Well, the bill passed, and of course this was somewhat contentious. We've been waiting for a while for this legislation to get reauthorized. There were some good things and bad things. With so many things in Washington, when you pass legislation, there are elements you like and elements you dislike. I wound up not supporting the final product, even though, as I said, there were things in there that I thought were healthy and moved us more towards a market approach towards agriculture. The big thing that your viewers understand is so much of the, quote, farm bill is not about agriculture. I mean, frankly, almost 80% is nutrition. It's about food stamps and the nutrition programs and the social safety net programs we have in that area in the federal government. Very little of the bill actually deals with the commodities and dealing with agriculture. So we were able, when the bill came through the House, to actually separate those. First time in approximately 50 years, we'd actually separated out the nutrition component from the agriculture and the commodity part of the legislation. We thought that was a good step. Many of us conservatives supported it because we said, well, we're making progress towards moving towards a market, towards moving to just agriculture and then dealing with the nutrition and the food stamp program separately. Unfortunately, when it went to the Senate and when it went to conference, it was all put back together again, and there were a number of us on the conservative side of the Republican conference who said we're not going to support the bill for that, and some other reasons. I know some of our livestock groups were very concerned about certain provisions in the bill, country of origin, labeling, and et cetera. So for those reasons, I wound up opposing the final product. But the good news is, I think we've had some great years in agriculture, and that's a testimony to the hard work of the folks who are out there on the farm every day, and we hope that continues.
When we're talking about, not only agriculture being successful, we need to have some energy independence as well.
Okay.
And one of the things that I think Ohio is now coming on the radar for being one of those locations to be able to provide that energy independence.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope we're the next North Dakota. I mean, North Dakota's economy is booming because of the energy growth up there, the energy sector. We're seeing this happen now largely in eastern Ohio, but it's moving west. It's moving across the state in many ways. This is a good thing. You cannot have a growing, vibrant economy. You cannot be the economic superpower in the world if you don't have readily available energy at affordable cost. And so what's going on in Ohio is good for people directly in the business, but also for all the folks who supply, who are in the sheet metal fabricating and the pump business, everything else. It's good for them, and that all has spillover impact to our entire economy, including those in the agriculture sector. So this is a good thing, and something that we should be promoting. And one of the frustrations I see is this administration's reluctance to embrace just an all-the-above strategy where they said, let's do the right thing. Let's pass let's allow the Keystone Pipeline. Prime Minister Harper was in the news earlier this week talking about it's time to get this okayed and moving forward. I could not agree more. So let's do that and understand how important this is.
Right for in our area within this district, as you well know, my brother works at Husky Refinery, and they're set to spend millions of dollars and put millions of dollars back in the Ohio economy based upon some of those things that we might see come out of Washington.
It's all good. Let's just okay the Keystone Pipeline. Let's understand that the resources the good Lord has blessed our nation with, let's use them. Let's use them in an environmentally friendly way. But let's use them. And if you want to create a context and an environment that's conducive to job growth and conducive to economic growth, you got to have energy. And this whole natural gas phenomena and oil and everything else, we're gonna move right to the top. And energy production, that's all good.
The other thing with agriculture, it requires a lot of labor. Ag can be labor intensive. Whether it's the dairy farmer who has got to be there twice a day, 7 days a week, which I've done, for many years, or the farmer who's raising produce, and the consumer expects that produce to come to the market in very, very nice shape, and some of that labor is provided by immigrants, and so I know immigration reform is something that's one of the things that on top of your list as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be done the right way, and the difficult part when you think about the Senate bill, which is a more comprehensive piece of legislation, is it's tough to, just in simple terms, it's tough to trust this president. It was just a year ago where when the so-called sequester was scheduled to take effect on March 1st of last year, Immigration and Customs Enforcement released over 2,000 illegal detainees. 8 of them were level 1 felons, all because of the political implications and blaming it on the sequester. So you got all kinds of issues where so many of the members of the party I belong to, members in the House, just do not trust this president. And that's why it's tough to negotiate in any type of good faith with this guy, because there's just a lack of trust there. Now, specifically on the Ag Guest Worker Program, we have passed legislation that would address that issue. In fact, there have been 4 bills dealing with immigration that came out of the Judiciary Committee, which I'm a member of. I supported all 4 pieces of legislation. One would secure the border and border security type legislation. One is an E-Verify legislation, which would better enable our employers to know for certain that people they look to hire are here in a legal fashion. The third bill deals with those high-skilled, high-tech people who come to our good universities, get an education in engineering and mathematics, and then want to work increasing the number of people who can legally be here and work on those type of visas. And then a fourth, of course, is the Ag Guest Worker Program, which everyone understands makes sense. We've passed the bill. The problem is the administration won't pass those 4 bills, which everyone agrees with. Everyone knows those make sense. They won't do that unless they get the political benefit and what they believe is a political benefit of dealing with the rest of immigration concerns. And our attitude is, if the whole country understands those 4 pieces of legislation make sense, they're good for America, why not pass those 4 and demonstrate maybe you can actually be trusted and you can negotiate in good faith, and then we can look at some of the other concerns. I always start with the perspective, if you have the right principles, you get to the right policy. And our principles should be, on immigration in a broad sense, our principles should be, we should be a welcoming country. Who wouldn't want to come to the greatest nation in the world and be a citizen of this country? But we should do it all in a way that's consistent with the law. The rule of law is important. And if you keep those things in mind, I think you can work through this whole thing if you have a partner on the other side who's going to operate in good faith.
We'll be back with more of our interview with Congressman Jim Jordan right after this. Welcome back, and we're with Jim Jordan. We want to kind of pick up where we left off a little while ago, Jim. We're talking about, the agriculture and production and things like that. But, Washington and you folks have been doing a lot to really help Ohio, deliver on those things.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes the best thing we can do in Washington is get out of the way and let our General Assembly, let the governor, and let the families and the business owners and the citizens of this great state make things happen. And I think you're seeing that. One of the nice things about Ohio, too, is, we got the energy issue we talked about on the eastern side. We got agriculture all over the state and big industry. And we got manufacturing. In fact, I told a group of manufacturers earlier today, I said, in spite of the government, you guys are making a profit and you are hiring people and trying to find the skilled workforce that you need. So Ohio is a unique state in that we're sort of the crossroads of America. And one of the things I always remember, that particularly back in my days of coaching wrestling at Ohio State University as assistant wrestling coach there, we knew that if you start in Columbus, you guys know this because you're marketing your product in agriculture all over the place, all over the world. If you start in Columbus and you do a 500-mile radius around Columbus, you get to like 60% of the people in the country. And so you are uniquely positioned to all kinds of markets and all kinds of population centers. It's a great place to do business, whether it's ag or ag-related or manufacturing or what have you. And it's something we have here in this state to offer people. Then you think about, take Columbus, for example. You think about Ohio State University and the research in Battelle. You think about all the neat things we have, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base down the road, and the sharp people that are in those locations and spread out across the state. It's a good thing. And if government can just quit taxing and regulating business to death, do the essential things like make sure our infrastructure needs are there, then I think you're going to see good things continue to happen in our great state.
Well, something else that strikes me, I obviously, I do a lot of things within the community. Our business motto is here to do the right thing for the right reason. And a lot of politicians, people on the outside look and say, geez, all they do is they're in Washington to make the money. And, talk a little bit about, your philosophy and why, your philosophy and what you're really doing and why you're in Washington, D.C.
Well, I got in this, I never intended to get involved in politics until you get married and you have kids, you look at the world different. And you get tired of government taking your money, telling you what to do, and insulting your values. And so I decided I was going to try to make a difference and ran for office because I wanted to empower the institution that in my mind is really the core institution and the key institution that determines the strength of your entire country and your entire culture, and that's the family. And so that's what I do. I try to ask the question, does it benefit families? And the answer is yes. I'm gonna fight for it. And part of being able to do that, part of being able to represent the families of the 4th District is to get back in the district and talk to them. And so we've been all over Auglaize County today. Yesterday we were in Lorain County. The day before that we were up in Seneca County and Tiffin. And tomorrow we're going to be in Union County visiting with families and business owners and taxpayers. The founders, in their wisdom, set up a representative form of government where the folks in a area decide who they're going to send to Washington. And you send me there to make decisions on your behalf. But you want me to also come home and talk to you and consult with you and find out what you care about, what you really would like for me to push and like for me to do. And I can't do that job right unless I actually come back and talk to folks. So we make a point to do that. I fly home every weekend, and we get some weeks like this week where we get a whole week to get out and about and across the district.
Well, Jim, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, having you on the show. If somebody wanted to find out maybe a little bit more information about what you've got going on and maybe some of your positions, where can they go?
Go to our website. You can call our Lima office 999-6455 419, of course. They can call our office there, or Norwalk office. They can call in Washington. We have a policy 202-225-2676 in Washington. But we have a policy: any phone call, any email, any fax, any voicemail, anything that we will respond to folks from the 4th Congressional District. Again, that's our job. And so feel free to get a hold of us. We also do these things called teletown halls, where we'll have a town hall conference where we communicate with folks, and those are always positive as well.
Well, thanks for being with us, Jim.
Thank you. My pleasure.
We'll be back with more in Ohio Country Today right after this.
For more information about today's show or to suggest a topic, visit us on the web in ohiocountry.com. That's in ohiocountry.com.
TruePoint has high quality